getting sick, full-time van life, getting sick, they don't mesh very well. I've had a lot of comments from you out there that say, well, I don't know if I could become a nomad. What if I got sick? What would I do? And what do you do if you get sick? Well, let me tell you just a little story, very short. About a year ago, I was out walking. I was in Tucson and I was out walking. All of a sudden I felt something's wrong. I don't feel so good. I actually felt kind of dizzy, and my body, it came on that quickly. And I thought, well, just work through it. Well, I couldn't work through it. Went back to my van and laid down. I was sick. I was sick probably for about 3 or 4 days. And I believe it probably was a virus. No, I don't think it was the C word. But I do believe I got like a little virus, and it attacks the body very quickly. If you have a cold, you kind of know that you have a cold coming on. But with the flu or something like that, or even food poisoning, that's a real biggie for nomads. It can come on very quickly. And it's like, bleh. Yeah, you have to get in your van and you have to hunker down. So I want to go through the process of getting ready if you don't feel well. There are some things that you can carry with you to help with the process, because I do believe in most cases, almost everybody's going to get ill at some point, right? It doesn't matter how healthy you are. Well, one thing, when you get inside your van, you're going to want to lay down and kind of assess what's going on. And in my case, I don't have a build out. So what I do is I just go ahead and I put down my pillows. That way I can kind of just lay down and rest and see what's going on. Put on something. I kind of park my phone right here on my bin and watch and kind of just feel, what am I feeling right now? Kind of assess what's going on with your body. If you really feel ill, in most cases, you're going to end up with diarrhea. I think that is everybody's concern. It's the toilet and sink issue. If you're ill, how are you going to deal with it? You don't have a toilet. You don't have a sink, to clean up in. So you have to prepare a little bit. If I'm laying here and I had, in my case, when I was sick, I realized it's getting worse and I'm not feeling too well. I believe that I fell asleep. When I woke up, I knew that I had to get things ready. I needed to get my bucket ready. Let me get my bucket here. Have your pee bottle ready too. But I have my bucket. I keep my bucket on my front seat. When I'm back in my living area, this is on my front seat. I used to keep it in my bottom, the big bin back here, but it's too hard to get out every day. But no, I didn't like that. So this is my bucket. It's an odd shape, isn't it? But I like it to be big. And then what I can do with this is my pee bottle, and I can just kind of park it in there, park this on top of it, and put it on my front seat. I don't even have to look at it. When I go out of my van, I take it off and I put it back here. And then when I come back, I put it back on my seat. It's a good system for me. Everybody has their own poop bucket system and pee system. This is mine. And I'm going to guess that if you're in a minivan, that you use a little bucket. If you keep, where am I going to put a 5-gallon bucket in my minivan? Yeah, nowhere. It's just going to be in my way all the time. I know in like build out vans, like Econoline vans or ProMaster vans like Paul has, it can also be used as a seat. You got your 5-gallon and then you've got a luggable loo on top of it. This actually fits on, there's a rimmer on here. This actually fits on a 5-gallon bucket. Yeah. So, and this had the lid on it. I don't like that. I took it off. I don't need it. So anyways, I've got my bucket here. And what I use is scented bags. And when I'm not sick, what I do is I use this in the morning and then I dump it every single day. If you have a regular 5-gallon bucket, a lot of y'all that use those, you can go like a whole week before you dump the bag. I don't. And I'm not going to feel guilty about using a bag every day, because I know in regular bricks and sticks, you're using a bag every day. So I know how that works. I lived in one too. So yeah. I didn't join this this lifestyle so that I could just be, I mean, I like to be sustainable, but that wasn't my top priority. I'm so sustainable in so many areas that I don't concern myself with the bag. Well, make sure that you have this handy, because you're probably going to have diarrhea. Oh my gosh, yeah. And it can be a real hassle. When I first became a nomad, I hadn't even left Tucson yet. It was during that 2-month period before I took off for the East Coast. I ate at Taco Bell. They are notorious for causing a clean out. Yes. Your piping will get cleaned out. And I had diarrhea for 2 days. It was bad. So, I never again eat at Taco Bell. And I'm real careful. This another issue is be careful where you eat. You can get food poisoning. Bacteria can get in your body. And diarrhea is your body's system of cleaning out bacteria. So it just flushes it. Make sure you have lots of water. Yes. Now, it's also a good idea to make sure that you're always carrying enough water. Never go down. Don't let yourself get so low that it's like, at least I have 1 gallon left. I'll go tomorrow. What if you got sick and you can't? You're ill. You're not going to want to run to Walmart or someplace like that to fill up your jugs. Yeah. Or if you're out boondocking, to run into Quartzsite or wherever, to fill up your jugs. Keep your jugs filled up. If you're down to your last 3 or 4, go and get them filled up. So the problem that I have found is having diarrhea, or you are going to vomit, is that you're so sick. If you're doing that, you're pretty sick. You're not going to be running outside finding a place to dump your bag over and over and over, because diarrhea kind of is continuous. What I do is I just kind of take my baggie. Also, another thing too is put kitty litter. A lot of you use pellets or odor eaters, or you use kitty litter and you put in there. I don't do that. But a good idea would be to actually carry it with me so I could use it if I ever got ill. But what I do is kind of take it, just kind of fold it over, and just so that everything else is down here. Put this on there and put it back on my front seat so that I could sit back down again if I need to. I just kind of grab it and sit on it again. Have your wipes handy. I always have mine handy right here. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3 bins, and I keep this in my wastebasket. My hair and makeup. I keep these handy right here. So you're laying down. I think it's a good idea to have your phone charged at all times. And then, let your buddies, if you're traveling in a caravan or you're traveling with your travel buddy, let them know. I think it's also a good idea for your family, just not to worry them, but to say, I don't feel too good. Call me, just check on me, would you, in about 4 or 5 hours. And they will. To say, don't worry, it's not that bad, but just go ahead and check on me. I think it's a good idea to keep in touch, because you really don't know what it is. So, yeah, I do believe that I got just a normal flu, and it put me down for a while. I have got and then I mentioned that I did get food poisoning from Taco Bell. And then the other time that I got really ill was the first year that I went out to Quartzsite. Right afterwards, I got a bladder infection, a UTI, because I wasn't drinking enough water. Gotta drink your water. Well, I knew that something was going on, and I had wanted to go see Lake Havasu, so I drove to Lake Havasu. Well, I got there in the middle of the night. I felt like something really was wrong. I mean, wrong. And I almost felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I was in a lot of pain, but it was a feeling that I never felt before. Well, my body in here, my intuition and my mind said, you need to get to a hospital. It's getting worse. You need to be seen. You can't continue on. It's like this feeling of, I can't continue on this way any longer. So I drove to the emergency room in Lake Havasu. I walked in and I told them that I was in level 10 and I needed to see somebody now, put me through quickly. And so she handed me a clipboard with papers. I said, no. I'm really serious. I'm at pain level 10 and I need to be taken in. She goes, okay. So she says, we'll get your papers filled out in a minute. Well, I laid there for a good 5 hours. They thought it was a UTI. Didn't give me really good pain meds at all. Why is that flickering right there? You see that? Isn't that funny? Okay. Let's get some more lights in here. There we go. Okay. Well, about 5 hours later, they gave me a CAT scan, and the doctor told me I had appendicitis. But my point of this story is that I was a minivan dweller, full time. And so my recovery after surgery, they released me the day after surgery. I was alone in my minivan. I had to take care of myself, and I did it just fine. The operation went well because I'm very healthy. And another thing too, it's another good reason to be of a good weight, because he said, when you have a bigger belly and there's more area they have to go through with their scopes, they had 3 scopes, one this way, one was, I know. He said, sometimes it can really complicate the issues. So that's another reason to be of good weight. So everything went well with that. And I recovered all by myself in my minivan. I went and found some BLM land and I was out there. He wanted to see me again a week after surgery. So I stayed there. No, actually it was 2 weeks. So I had to take care of myself for 2 weeks. And I went and I got a clean bill of health and I left. So it's possible. Don't discount being in a minivan because you might get ill. Some people actually have colonitis where they poop a lot. I mean, they have loose bowels a lot. You can still do it. It's just you'll get used to it. You get a new system. You get used to what you're dealing with. Now there are some people who don't use a bucket. They only use bathrooms exclusively. I recommend having a backup. Even if you have to put it somewhere in a bin or something. If you don't want to look at it very often, have a backup. You have to have I would imagine every nomad has a pee bottle. Sometimes you just have to pee, right? It's like going out by a tree or something. You just have to pee. But when it comes to number 2, have a backup, because if you're sick, you're not going to keep running to Starbucks or the store, the grocery store, Chevrons or something like that. So you can get ill by bacteria. And so I recommend having some alcohol to wash out your dishes well, because you can get sick if you don't wash your dishes good enough. And from mayonnaise, eggs, milk products, meat, yeah. So if you're using meat, or you think that you want to just really super clean your dishes, your utensils, use alcohol. This is my vinegar bottle. I keep about half vinegar, half water, and I spray down my dishes when it's just produce, things like that. Always have a good supply of paper towels. If you get ill, you don't want to be running to Walmart and go, oh, I'm out of paper towels. Oh, you're going to need these. Oh, yeah. And another thing, too, is bring in some extra bags. My baggies for my scented bags, I get hefty scented. I think it's citrus, 13 gallons. I keep my extra bags in the back there. So when I lift up my hatch, keep your wipes handy, keep your water handy, and sleep it off. You're going to probably sleep quite a bit. You also need to have a thermometer around. You need, if you know, when you get a fever, you're going to know your body's going to feel achy, like it's almost like it's on fire a little bit, or it's almost like you're half cold and half on fire. So take your temperature. If you think you can't, kind of hard to do it just this way, but yeah, take your temperature. As soon as you start feeling sick, put your curtains down and fall asleep. If you're in the city, find some shade, go to a park, and fall asleep. That's your best bet. Now, if you're feeling that something's really wrong, like I did with my appendix, make a phone call and say, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? And they can advise you. Always if you think there's something really going on, get professional advice. It could, it could be your heart. It could be you have a kidney infection. It could be lots of things. Whatever you're susceptible to, that could be an issue for you. You don't want to play around with your health. So what I'm talking about is just getting mainly like a food poisoning, and you can get that from a restaurant. Be vigilant with your food. I don't have a refrigerator, so I have to be extra careful with what I eat. If there's meat or something in my dinner, eggs, mayonnaise, things like that, I can't keep leftovers. So I really don't do a lot of cooking. Oh, you know what? Another really cool thing to have around is some broth. Chicken broth or beef broth, or even vegetable broth. That way, if you're not hungry, you want to keep up your nourishment. If you have any other suggestions of what, everybody has something different that they like to go for. Some people are vegans and things like that. I like to keep saltine crackers around, for a case like this. But getting ill is not the end of the world in a minivan. I recovered from surgery in my minivan. I've been through the flu in my minivan, and I've gotten food poisoning in my minivan, and I survived it. I did quite well. There's nothing that could stop me from living in my minivan. Now, when you do start feeling better, take it easy. What I did was I would walk around a little bit, come back, rest again, until I got my strength back up again. But, I feel like I can do almost anything now, right? Go easy on your stomach, especially if it's food poisoning. And just follow your gut instincts on all of this. Now, I don't actually vomit as an adult. I did, I think, as a child, but I don't really vomit or throw up, I kind of suffer through it. But if you feel like you're going to vomit, you need to have your bucket handy. Or also, I keep a wastebasket around, but this isn't big enough. I don't want splash. I know that sounds really gross, doesn't it? I don't want splash going on. So here's where you're really going to need these, and a bucket with the wash rag. You're going to have to wash up quite a bit. When all said and done, you're feeling better, you're getting your strength back, guess what you need to do? You need to sterilize your van. You need to change your sheets, wash everything down, alcohol it out, clean all your surfaces that you've touched. Do a good clean out when you get your strength back. You don't have to, you can still be a nomad and get ill. And most people, I'm very healthy, but obviously I do get sick every once in a while. So I hope you found this interesting. Don't let these things stop you from living the kind of life that you want to. Because even you might just want to be a weekend warrior in your minivan or take vacations. Guess what? You can still get sick. being in your minivan or your ProMaster. Another issue too is if you have a pet, it's going to make it a little bit harder because you got to take that dog out and you're sick. If you're traveling in a caravan, you need to discuss this with them and say, how much can you help me? Yeah, I know. It can be a real issue having a pet. And they're so cute, and I do love dogs, but I don't know if it's a big responsibility, and the care that you have to give for them. If you are ill, oh my gosh, yeah. Well, of course, you can also kennel them while you're sick, but there's the money, so. Well, I love you guys. I hope you found this interesting, and please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I've got neck gaiters, and I've got the sunglasses, and I've got the exercise tapes. So go to minivanlee.com and to find all of those. There's some nice sunglasses too. A lot of you had asked me, where do you get your sunglasses? So I wanted to order some so I could offer them to you. They're the big sunglasses, which really are coming back. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow. I love you. Stay healthy. Take your vitamins. Look online for the best way for you, because there's so many new opinions out there. The best way for you to keep your immune system up and staying healthy. And always follow medical advice. This is in no way medical advice for you. It's just how I dealt with getting sick, and to assure you, it's not the end of the world. Bye, everybody. Tomorrow.